thank the jury for their careful deliberation concerning the evidence in this case. The evidence that had been described by the Wisconsin Court of Appeals as absolutely overwhelming, and that was without the letter. But I did believe, and I want to explain to you now why I believe Julie's letter should have been heard by this jury. Julie, I think victims have a right to be heard in court. And if the victim's dead at the hands of the person who killed her, then that person who killed her does not have the right to cross-examine her. I believe the Wisconsin Supreme Court got this issue wrong, and I don't believe this letter should be considered a testimonial statement. But I do want to thank the jury for their careful deliberation. And of course, you know, there's so many other people to thank. I mean, Carly and I worked on this case for months, and I have to say, when I first got reassigned to work on this case, and I knew who Carly was, but I hadn't worked with that much, and I was really alarmed at how busy she was already. She's the deputy district attorney in this county. She had a very, very heavy caseload and a very, very heavy management load, and I just didn't see how she could find the time to devote to that was necessary to absorb the information in this case. A case that it was spread out in their conference room, and it's like 32 banker's boxes worth of stuff. But I didn't have reason to be concerned, because Carly McNeil just did an astonishing job in this case, as you saw with her brilliant opening statement, her brilliant closing argument, her complete and total mastery of the facts. She was simply astonishing, and I think she gets the great bulk of the credit for this successful result. But I do want to read to you, I want the people in this who are listening and watching, I do want you to hear the letter that Julie wrote. She wrote this letter a week and a half before she was murdered. She was so terrified, she didn't know what to do. She called the police, she talked to the police, she talked to her friends, she talked to her best friend, Laura Koster, and a fat lot of good that did her. But she did write this letter, and she gave it to her next door neighbor, Ted Voigt, and she said, if anything happens to me, give this to the police. And he gave it to the police on December 4th. This letter was written by Julie Jensen. Pleasant Prairie Police Department, Ron Cosmer, Detective Ratsburg. I took this picture, and I'm writing this on Saturday, November 21st, 1998. This list was in my husband's business daily planner, not meant for me to see. I don't know what it means, but if anything happens to me, he would be my first suspect. Our relationship has deteriorated to the polite, superficial. I know he's never forgiven me for the brief affair I had with that creep 7 years ago. Mark lives for work and the kids. He's an avid surfer of the internet. Anyway, I do not smoke or drink. My mother was an alcoholic, so I limit my drinking to 1 or 2 a week. Mark wants me to drink more with him in the evenings. I don't. I would never take my life because of my kids. They are everything to me, and she underlined everything. I regularly take Tylenol and multivitamins, occasionally take OTC stuff for colds, Zantac or Imodium, have 1 prescription for migraine tablets, which Mark uses more than me. I pray I'm wrong and nothing happens, but I'm suspicious of Mark's suspicious behaviors, fear for my early demise. However, I will not leave David and Douglas, my life's greatest love, accomplishment, and wish, my 3 Ds, Daddy, Mark, David, and Douglas, and signed Julie Jensen. And this letter was written November 21st, 1998. This is the list that she'd seen. This is the list that was photographed by Julie and given to the police.